There is no such thing as a mini pig. That term does not exist in veterinary science. It does not appear in any breed registry. It is not a species, not a subspecies, not a recognized genetic category. It is a marketing label invented to sell small piglets at high prices to people who believe the pig will stay that size. It will not. And what happens next when the pig keeps growing and the owner realizes the promise was false is one of the quietest crises in the pet world. We have spent the last several videos talking about how to understand a pig, how to live with her, how to read what she is telling you. But there is one topic that sits underneath all of that, and without addressing it, the picture is incomplete. This is the part where honesty gets uncomfortable. My name is Bob, and what was promised to me about my first pig and what actually showed up are two very different stories. The origin of the myth is straightforward. In the 1980s, Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs were imported to North America as exotic pets. They were smaller than standard farm pigs, which can reach 300 kilograms or more. Compared to that, a pot-bellied pig at 50 or 70 kilos looked small. Breeders started using words like miniature, teacup, micro, and nano to describe piglets from smaller bloodlines. The words implied a permanent size. A pig that would stay small forever. Compact enough for an apartment, light enough to carry. The photos on breeder websites showed piglets at 6 or 8 weeks old, sitting in teacups, fitting in handbags, curled up in a palm. What the photos did not show was the same pig at 2 years old. Here is what actually determines a pig's adult size. Genetics, not diet, not the size of the parents at the time of sale, not the breeder's promise. Genetics, and pig genetics are complicated. A pig's adult size is influenced by multiple genes, many of which are recessive. Two small parents can produce offspring that grow significantly larger. Two pigs from the same litter can end up at different adult weights. There is no reliable way to predict the final size of a piglet at 8 weeks old. None. A breeder who guarantees a maximum adult weight is making a promise that genetics does not support. Some breeders know this. Some genuinely believe their breeding program produces consistently small pigs. Both groups are selling uncertainty as certainty. The math does not care about intentions. A pig with genes for 60 kilos will reach 60 kilos on a proper diet, regardless of what a contract says. And every veterinarian who works with pigs has seen this conversation happen in the exam room. The owner walks in expecting a small pig to stay small. The vet has to explain that the pig is not overweight. She is growing normally. The breeder's number was wrong. That conversation is one of the hardest in small animal practice because the vet is not delivering bad news about the pig. The pig is healthy. The vet is delivering bad news about a promise that should never have been made. Now here's the part that needs to be said carefully because it involves a practice that is real but often denied. Some breeders keep their breeding pigs underfed. Not starved in an obvious way. Chronically underfed. The pig is given enough food to survive but not enough to reach full genetic size. The result is a breeding pig that looks small, which is then shown to prospective buyers as proof that the piglets will stay small too. The buyer sees a 30-kilo mother and assumes the piglets will be similar. What the buyer does not know is that the mother would be 50 or 60 kilos if properly fed. The piglets carry the same genes. When the new owner feeds the piglet a healthy diet, the pig grows to her actual genetic potential. And that potential is almost always larger than what was promised. The real size range of pigs commonly sold as minis falls between roughly 30 and 90 kilograms at full maturity. Full maturity does not happen at 1 year. Pigs continue growing until they are roughly 3 to 5 years old. An owner who has a 20-kilo pig at 12 months and thinks the growing is done is likely looking at a pig that will double or triple that weight over the next 2 to 3 years. That is not a defect. That is normal pig development. The problem is not the size, the problem is the expectation. And this is where the real damage happens. A person buys a piglet expecting a 15-kilo house pet. The pig reaches 40 kilos and is still growing. The apartment is too small, the landlord has size restrictions, the family was not prepared for an animal this large. The pig, who has bonded with her person, who runs the nightly patrol, who does the bedroom check at 3 in the morning, who assigned an anchor and built a whole social world around this household, gets surrendered to a shelter or a rescue. Not because the owner stopped loving her, because the gap between the promise and the reality became unmanageable. Pig rescues across North America are full of animals whose only crime was growing to their natural size. The numbers are difficult to pin down exactly, but rescue organizations report that the majority of pigs they receive were purchased as minis and surrendered within the first 2 to 3 years, which is exactly the window when the pig reaches adult size and the reality becomes undeniable. The owner is heartbroken, the pig is displaced, and the breeder has already sold the next litter. Here's what nobody tells you about this. The pig knows. Not in an abstract philosophical way, in a behavioral, observable way. A pig that gets moved from a bonded household to a rescue shows measurable behavioral changes. The patrol stops, the contact calls stop, the greeting ritual disappears. The pig goes quiet. Not aggressive. Quiet. That silence is not calm. It is a pig that lost her herd and is waiting to see if it comes back. Rescue workers describe it the same way, almost universally. The pig arrives, finds a corner, and waits. She does not explore, she does not eat well for the first few days. She does not initiate contact with new people. She sits, and she waits. Some of them start the patrol again after a few weeks in a new environment. Some never do. The ones that do are the ones that decided the new place is worth protecting. The ones that do not are still waiting for the old one to come back. The thing is, the size is not the problem. Plenty of people live happily with 50, 60, 70 kilo pigs. The pig adapts, the house adapts, the relationship works at any weight. The problem is when the size comes as a surprise, because surprises create resentment, and resentment erodes the bond that the pig spent months building. The solution is not smaller pigs. The solution is accurate information before the purchase. So here is what is worth knowing before bringing a pig home. Expect a pig that will weigh somewhere between 30 and 90 kilos as an adult. Plan for the upper end of that range. If the pig ends up smaller, that is a pleasant surprise. If the pig ends up at the upper end, the home and the family are already prepared. Ask the breeder to see the parents at full maturity, not in photos, in person if possible. Ask how old the parents are. A pig under 3 years old has not finished growing, so a small parent at 18 months proves nothing. And ask what the parents are being fed. A healthy diet and a healthy weight in the parents is the closest thing to a reliable indicator that exists. It is still not a guarantee. But it is better than a marketing photo. One question that filters out the majority of problems instantly. Ask the breeder what happens if the pig grows larger than expected. A breeder who has a clear answer, a return policy, ongoing support, willingness to take the pig back is a breeder who takes responsibility for what they sell. A breeder who gets defensive, changes the subject, or insists it will not happen has answered the question by avoiding it. One more thing. There are pigs at the smaller end of the spectrum. Some bloodlines do produce adults in the 30 to 40 kilo range consistently. Those bloodlines exist, and reputable breeders who work with them exist too. The issue is not that small pigs are impossible. The issue is that small pigs are not guaranteed, and the word mini implies a guarantee that genetics cannot provide. The honest version is this: a pig is going to be whatever size her genes decide. The owner's job is not to control that. The owner's job is to be ready for it. And honestly, the pigs that ended up bigger than expected, the ones that outgrew the teacup and the handbag and the apartment, those are some of the happiest pigs around. Because the owners who stayed, who adjusted, who made room, those are the people who chose the pig over the promise. And the pig knows the difference. Next video is the practical follow-up. How to actually prepare a home for a pig. Not the internet version, the real one. What to buy, what to move, what to pig-proof, and what got destroyed in the first 48 hours. That last part is not hypothetical.